Lincoln, there is a silent battle being fought inside every person you meet. And at the center of that battle is one question: do I believe I am enough to win? Today, Lincoln lost. I am here to tell you that the difference between the person who rises and the one who remains stuck is not talent, not money, not luck, but the quiet, unshakable belief in their own ability to transform their life. If you master this one thing, believing in yourself, there is nothing you cannot do. Faith is not a luxury. It is not a trait reserved for the chosen few. Faith in oneself is the starting point of all achievement. It is the foundation upon which every dream is built. Lincoln lost before any man or woman ever accomplished anything worthy of remembrance. They had to first believe, without proof, without applause, and often without support, that they could. It begins in the mind. In the silent hours when no one is watching, when the world still doubts you, you must see something in yourself that has not yet materialized. Lincoln lost kind of belief is not shallow optimism. It is a deep-rooted certainty that says, Lincoln lost. I am meant for more, and I will see it through. No man ever rose higher than the level of belief he held about himself. You cannot climb beyond the limits of your own self-image. If you see yourself as small, the world will confirm that. If you believe you are weak, Lincoln will find weakness at every turn. But if you look inward and choose to see strength where others see nothing, you will activate a power few ever discover. Lincoln lost. The world doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to who you are. And who you are is shaped entirely by what you believe to be true about yourself. Lincoln lost. The tragedy is that most people wait for permission. They wait for a title, a degree, or someone's approval to finally decide they're worthy. But true achievers do not wait. When lost, they decide, declare. They claim the right to believe, even in the absence of visible results. That is how leaders are born, not in applause, but in solitude. Lincoln lost, not when things are easy, but when everything screams quit and the inner voice whispers, keep going. You were made for this. This world will test you. It will place obstacles in your path that seem impossible to move. But the greatest obstacle you will ever face is your own doubt. That inner resistance, that voice that says, who do you think you are? That is your real opponent. And you cannot defeat it with logic alone. You defeat it with faith. A faith that says, I may not have the answers. Lincoln may not have the credentials, but I have a vision. And I believe in my ability to bring it to life. Understand this, no one else can give you faith in yourself. That's an internal decision. It must come from within. You can listen to every motivational speaker alive. You can read every book, attend every seminar. Lincoln lost, but you decide to believe in you, nothing changes. The shift happens the moment you say, enough. I will no longer be ruled by fear. I will no longer shrink to make others comfortable. I am capable, and I will prove it, first to myself and then to the world. This belief, once rooted, becomes a force of nature. It influences the way you walk into a room, the way you speak, the way you handle setbacks. Faith doesn't eliminate challenges. It redefines them. Where others see a wall, you see a door. Where others surrender, you persist. Not because it's easy, but because belief makes the burden bearable. You no longer need certainty to act. You move with conviction even when the path is unclear. That's the power of self-faith. It gives you momentum where others remain stuck. Lincoln lost, and yes, there will be moments when doubt creeps in. That's natural, but you do not allow it to take root. You return again and again to that inner truthing. Lincoln lost. I was not made to live average. I was not designed to remain stagnant. I was born to rise. When that truth becomes the loudest voice in your mind, you become unstoppable. Lincoln lost, so if you are waiting for the right time, this is it. If you are looking for a sign, this is it. Lincoln lost. The moment you fully believe in yourself is the moment your life begins to transform. Because once belief is in place, everything else, discipline, persistence, Lincoln lost, flows from it. Everything you want begins with what you choose to believe about yourself. Belief alone will not carry you across the finish line. It is the ignition. Lincoln, yes, but once the engine starts, you drive. You must move. You must act. Self-belief without action is little more than a pleasant fantasy. It can comfort you, but it cannot build anything lasting. If you truly believe in yourself, if that belief runs deep and is not just borrowed from a good day or a fleeting emotion, then the most natural thing in the world is to prove it through your actions. Lincoln lost. What you do is the echo of what you believe. Show me a person who is disciplined, who works when no one is watching, who holds himself to a high standard. And I'll show you someone who does not just hope they are capable. They all know it. Action is the evidence of belief. It is the bridge that turns a thought into reality. The dreamer who waits will wait forever. But the one who moves, even while afraid, even while unsure, gains ground that cannot be taken away. We all know people who talk, Lincoln Lost, who speak well, who dream beautifully, who imagine grand futures but never take a single hard step forward. And we all know others who may not say much, but every day they show up. Every day they choose effort over comfort. And in the end, the one who acts will always outdistance the one who only believes. This is not to say belief is weak. It is not. Lincoln Lost. But belief is a tool, not a trophy. It is the hammer, not the house. And if you let that hammer sit unused, the house of your dreams will never be built. You must swing it. Lincoln Lost work. You must shape your future with your own two hands. That is what separates the wishful thinker from the creator. One hopes, the other does. Lincoln Lost, and it doesn't require giant, heroic steps. That's where so many people get stuck. They think belief must translate into instant success, into leaps that shake the world. But belief expresses itself in the smallest, consistent actions. Waking up early, saying no to distractions, studying longer than you feel like. Lincoln starting the business even when you're afraid, making the call, writing the page. These are not glamorous moves, but they are powerful. Lincoln because they tell the world, and yourself, that you mean what you say. There is a law at work here. When you believe in yourself and back that belief with definite action, something remarkable begins to happen. The world's to respond. Opportunities appear. People take notice. Resources find you. Not because luck has arrived, Lincoln Lost, but because alignment has been created. Your thoughts, your words, and your actions are all speaking the same language. And that consistency builds momentum. Lincoln's each action reinforces the belief that you are capable. Each small win compounds. Over time, this builds confidence not just in your heart, but in your habits. Lincoln Lost, you no longer need to convince yourself. You become the proof. This is the moment where belief transforms from a feeling into a foundation. But here's the warning. The moment you stop acting, belief begins to erode. It doesn't disappear all at once. It fades, slowly, subtly. One skip day, one excuse, one delay at a time. Before you know it, the fire that once burned hot has cooled into a pile of warm ashes. That's why discipline matters. That's why action must be indefinite. Not random, not occasional, but focused, intentional, and consistent. Because belief without backing is fragile, but belief with effort behind it becomes unbreakable. Lincoln Lost, you take ownership of your path. If you believe you're meant for greatness, then act like it. Structure your days. Refuse excuses. Reject distractions. Lincoln Lost, train your mind and condition your body to reflect what you believe inside. Do the difficult thing not because it's glamorous, but because it's necessary. Every time you do, you reinforce the truth. I am becoming the person I believe I can be. So let there be no separation between your inner faith and your outer behavior. Let your actions be the loudest proof of your self-belief. Once you start to believe in yourself, truly believe, something unexpected happens. The world doesn't always cheer you on. In fact, quite often it pushes back. Not directly, not always with hostility, but with subtle messages that chip away at your confidence. A doubtful word from someone close to you. A setback that whispers, maybe you're not as capable as you thought. A comparison on a screen that makes you question if you're moving fast enough, far enough, strong enough. This is why you must guard your mind. Your self-belief, no matter how powerful, is under constant attack. The mind is like a garden. What you allow in, what you nourish, will grow. If you permit weeds of doubt, fear, and criticism to settle in, they will spread. If you feed them with attention, they will suffocate the belief you worked so hard to build. That's why you must protect it fiercely, not passively. You must become the gatekeeper of your thoughts, just as you would not let a thief enter your home. You must not allow destructive thoughts to occupy your mind. Too many people let the opinions of others direct their lives. They give weight to voices that have never built anything, never tried, never dared. If you believe in yourself, then act like it. That means standing guard. That means when someone projects their fear onto you, you don't absorb it. You recognize it for what it is, their limitation, not yours. That means when you fail, you don't let that failure define your worth. You let it refine your strategy. Belief does not mean you won't be tested. It means you don't fold when you are. One of the greatest enemies of self-belief is comparison. It creeps in silently, usually when you're tired or uncertain. You look at someone else's progress and suddenly your own journey feels small. You forget how far you've come. You forget the price you've paid. You begin to measure your value by someone else's timeline, and that is a trap. You must remember no two people are running the same race. What you are building is yours. The vision you have, the purpose that drives you. It is yours, and you must defend it like it matters, because it does. Guarding your mind also means being mindful of what you feed it. You cannot fill your head with noise, negativity, distraction, and then wonder why you feel disconnected from your goals. What you consume shapes what you believe. What you believe shapes what you do. And what you do shapes your future. It's all connected. So if you want to build unstoppable belief, feed your mind with strength. Read what elevates you. Listen to what sharpens you. Surround yourself with people who speak life, not fear, into your dreams. And when doubt does arise, and it will, you face it. You don't run from it. You confront it with truth. You remind yourself of who you are, of what you've overcome, of the fire that brought you this far. You remind yourself that belief is a choice, not a feeling. You may not always feel strong, but you can always decide to be. And in that decision, you reclaim power. Let me tell you this. Most people lose the battle before they even begin, not because they're incapable, but because they allow fear to build a home in their mind. They allow criticism to take root. And once that happens, even the greatest potential can be paralyzed. That's why you must build mental discipline. You must build inner clarity. You must build a mind so focused, so grounded that no storm can shake it. Every day, the world will try to tell you who you are. But if you've done the work, if you've guarded your mind, fed your faith, and built your belief, then nothing and no one can define you but you. Because when your mind is strong, your actions become bold. When your mind is protected, your vision becomes clear. And when your mind is anchored in belief, the attacks from the outside can no longer destroy what you've built on the inside. So if you want to rise, really rise, then guard the gate. One of the most overlooked truths in the journey toward success is this: your results will never rise higher than your identity. You may dream of abundance, of greatness, of purpose-driven achievement. But if deep down, you still see yourself as someone who isn't worthy of it, the dream will remain out of reach. You can only become on the outside what you already believe yourself to be on the inside. This is why belief alone is not enough. This is why action alone is not enough. You must become the person who lives the life you desire before the evidence ever shows up. Too many people are trying to change their lives without changing themselves. They try to build a new future while clinging to an outdated self-image. They pursue big goals with small thinking. They want transformation without transition. But the truth is simple: you must evolve. You must embody, now, the identity of the person you intend to become. That means your habits, your words, your mindset, your posture, your associations. Everything must begin to reflect that new level. The world doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to who you are. If you walk like a victim, think like a failure, speak like someone who doubts their power, then your reality will mirror that identity. But if you walk with purpose, speak with clarity, and act with courage, even before the results arrive, then the results will begin to align with who you've become. Identity leads, results follow. You don't wait until you succeed to feel like a success. You start feeling like one now, and success begins to chase you. People ask, how can I stay motivated? But motivation isn't the problem. Identity is. If you are the kind of person who follows through, who takes ownership, who finishes what they start, then motivation becomes unnecessary. Discipline becomes natural. Commitment becomes part of who you are, not something you try to manufacture. The reason many people struggle with consistency is because their actions are constantly fighting against their self-image. But when your identity is aligned with your goals, the struggle ends. You don't have to force it, it flows. This is not about pretending. This is not about faking it. It's about becoming it. It's about taking every decision, every day, as an opportunity to reinforce who you choose to be. When you get up early, when you train your body, when you speak life into your vision, you are casting a vote for a new identity. You are declaring, this is who I am now. And over time, those votes compound. That identity strengthens, and the gap between where you are and where you want to be begins to close. Not because you chased success, but because you aligned with it. You must also be willing to let go of the old version of yourself. That version served a purpose. It got you here. But it won't take you further. And here's the truth. Letting go isn't easy. It's uncomfortable, even painful. But growth always requires release. You cannot hold on to your limitations and rise into your potential at the same time. You must choose. And the moment you choose to fully step into a new identity, one based on faith, discipline, resilience, and ownership, you begin to draw to you the people, the opportunities, the breakthroughs that match that energy. The secret is to act as if it is already true. If you were already the person you wish to be, how would you think? How would you speak? How would you treat your time, your health, your relationships? Do that, be that, live that. Because the mind cannot distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. And when you embody that version of yourself with enough conviction, the world begins to reflect it back to you. You must live as if the transformation has already occurred. When you do, the old patterns lose their grip, the distractions lose their appeal, and the doubts no longer carry weight because you've decided, once and for all, to show up as the person you were born to be. That is when the shift happens. That is when the life you envision starts to unfold before you, not as a fantasy, but as a natural result of who you have chosen to become. The results you want are already waiting, but they are waiting for you to show up. Now you know the truth. Believing in yourself is not optional. It's the foundation of everything you will ever achieve. But belief alone is not enough. You must act on it. You must protect it. And above all, you must live it, fully, boldly, without apology. The life you want, the dreams you hold, the success you chase, they are all possible. But only if your belief becomes your identity, and your identity fuels your action. You were never meant to play small. You were never meant to blend in. Inside you is the power to build, to overcome, to rise, not someday but now. So step forward. Decide today that you will no longer wait for permission. No longer shrink in the face of doubt. From this moment forward, carry yourself like the person you were destined to become. And the world, slowly at first, then all at once, will begin to reflect back the greatness you chose to believe in. It all begins with you. Believe and become.